Front Inside the Entertainment Industry is brought to you by the High Museum of Art and Jazz 91.9 WCLK.
Coming up on this week's edition of Upfront, teen sensations NaDej Bailey and Jordan Rice stop by to chat about their Apple TV Plus series, Swagger. And we're getting into the holiday spirit with Demetria McKinney. The accomplished actress and singer is starring in Kirk Franklin's upcoming Lifetime holiday drama, A Gospel Christmas. We'll also be playing holiday music from Demetria, along with Leslie Odom Jr., Vanessa Williams, and Donny Hathaway all throughout the show.
Leading a church is a huge responsibility.
The Christmas Jamboree is in 3 weeks. You fail the Jamboree, you fail the church.
You got this.
You ready?
No.
Help me get ready for the Jamboree. The church needs a choir director. Please.
Demetria McKinney, Chaz Lamar Shepherd, Kendra C. Johnson, Angela Birchett.
Come on, let's sing.
Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas premieres Saturday, December 4th at 8. Part of It's a Wonderful Lifetime.
You just heard the trailer for Lifetime's newest holiday drama, Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas. The film stars my next guest, Demetria McKinney, as Olivia, a young assistant pastor who gets assigned to be a lead pastor at a new church a month before Christmas. She's fearful she can't manage the transition, including getting the choir ready to open the town's annual Winter Jamboree. Banding together with her new congregation, Olivia discovers a new home for herself and even finds a little Christmas romance along the way. I caught up with Demetria this week to chat about the project and much more. Demetria McKinney, welcome back to Upfront. How are you?
I am awesome. How about yourself?
I am doing extremely well and super excited to have you back on the show. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's always good to come back home.
Absolutely. You're starring in Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas, which is airing this evening at 8 p.m. on Lifetime. And when I saw the promos, I was like, hey, my friend is working.
Thank you.
About how this particular role came to you.
Oh, wow. I was offered the role and I took a look at the script. I took a look at the director, the normal things you do as an actress. And I just got instantly excited. First off, it's amazing to see the African-American women at the helm of this thing. Miss Twinkie Bird has been amazing. I've always wanted to work with her. I auditioned for her a couple of times, didn't get it. So I'm glad it all came full circle and I finally got it. And then also working with Miss Erica Sutherland is her directing debut here on Lifetime. And she's been just an absolute joy to work with. But the thing about the story that drove me was that I felt like I was telling my own, I grew up in the church. Went into the music realm for a bit. That had its own fear and trepidation associated with it. And Olivia is definitely on her own journey into who she is intended to be. So I was just really excited to tell a story that felt so close to home for me.
And that's what I thought as I was watching it. I was like, wow, this is very similar to your own personal trajectory. She's such a strong character. What does that say about you as Demetria McKinney as being a strong woman?
I think that her and my strength come from the acknowledgement of the fears that we have. A lot of times the character of a person can be told not because they're afraid, but because they choose to fight through it. They choose to press through. A lot of people get stagnant and stuck. And so seeing Olivia allow people to pour into her, the community that I have around me, the supporters that I've had, everybody from you to the Demetrians to, people from MySpace days, those are the energies that keep us going and foster things that we weren't able to find within ourselves at every turn. So I think that being able to say, I'm scared, opens you up for the possibility of not being that way anymore.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping that window. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helps to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to
We just heard an example of you singing, not singing, but singing. And you had to do a lot of that. Well, a little bit. Well, audience, right. But let's talk about that because, I mean, you know, I told you when I first met you, I was like, if they ever do a Whitney Houston biopic, you're the one. So let's talk about you singing in this movie.
You definitely told me that. Like I said, you have been such a support from day one. And in this one, again, one of the things that really attracted me to this role was that Olivia is not your traditional gospel singer. Now, don't get it twisted. You got some singing going on in this thing, okay? We have Miss Regina Belle, all right? We have Chaz Lamar Shepherd. The musical backdrop is Mr. Kirk Franklin. I mean, you have that down south getting to your Shana Na soul singing. And then you have some other little sprinkles that are just as delightful. They're just different. So I add to the little sprinkles on top of the cupcake of music that we have going on.
Let's talk about Kirk Franklin's involvement with this because he is presenting this amazing film, but let's talk about how he was on set.
Yo, due to the times we were in, we had to be very, very careful, and we all respected each other's space and needs and boundaries. And each time we got on a Zoom with him, he's Holy Ghost dumb. It's so silly to see him. He does not take life seriously, but he has a profoundness to him. And he has, we all know, we grew up with his music in our homes, yeah? But to meet him and to talk with him and for him to get on the Zoom like, is this thing working? You know, it's like, what is he doing? But it made you feel so comfortable. It made you able to connect. It made you able to step outside of the, wow, this is really happening, and go into, this is happening with me. So that was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that the way that the story is laid out, it's not a musical, but the musical backdrop is just so sincere and so powerful in how it's placed. You know, it helps the story along without being intrusive. So just kudos to him. Thank you to him and to Lifetime for being willing to put their names on something like this. Like, this isn't normally Lifetime's wheelhouse. You know, they're coming out with some really cool content, but we're the ones with, you know, Jesus is the reason for the season. You know, we're actually spouting that thing a different way. And they weren't afraid of that. They were inclusive with it. So just know you're in for a ride.
Whoa. Hey. I didn't mean to upset you.
Yeah, well, you did. And you embarrassed me. Don't you think I want to be there for the church? Save my job?
Libby.
That's what they want, right? A singing pastor. I don't sing.
Yes, you do.
I cannot be all in like you. I'm not wired that way.
Yes, you are. What do you say to the congregation every Sunday? Let your faith be bigger than your fears.
Not now, Ashton.
Absolutely now, Livy. Look, that choir, they need you.
Let's talk about the film's overarching theme, which is faith over fear. And let's talk about an experience where your faith was challenged and fear was trying to take over, but you had to, you know, continue to stay in your faith.
Oh, wow. You gonna hit me with that one, huh? I think that the biggest example of that was single motherhood at an age way younger than I wanted it to be. I don't think anybody is really fully prepared for a child at any age. You know, you don't know what you're getting into until you get it. But as scared as I was, as young-minded as I was at the time, you know, faith, not necessarily in myself, but faith in what was to come was the big driving factor for me. I passed out. I passed out, okay? They said you're pregnant. I was laid out like I was slain in the spirit. It was bad. But from the moment I felt that kick, he told me it was going to be okay. He told me I wasn't alone. Faith actually really fully kicked in because I couldn't see him. I knew he was there. But then, you know, knowing that I had something else that had to drive me forward outside of the little bubble I wanted to be in, it kept me going. That was the biggest example of that I have.
Let's talk about your co-star, Mr. Chaz. What was it like working with him? Because as you mentioned, you guys had to sing these songs, and he has an amazing voice, has done stage work, has been in the industry for quite some time. So what was it like working with him?
It was almost distracting. It was almost distracting. This man has music oozing out of him from the time he opens his eyes to the time he shuts them. And even then, I'm pretty sure he hums in his dreams. It was beautiful to just see how he wanted to create and how he always kept this effervescence, this Christmas, right in tune, right in key, right in step, playing the organ, playing the piano. I believe he played a couple of twigs upon the way. It was just, he is just so musically inclined, and to have that entity present in this type of a film was just so helpful, and it kept everything really light. And it was really cool to work with him because he is so sincere in what he brings to his character. So loved working with him. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome singer, musician. You guys are really going to get a hoot out of him.
And let's talk about tradition, because that was also something that sort of had a thread all throughout the film, were these traditions. Do you have any holiday traditions that you and your family still participate in or hold dear to this day?
Food comas. Food comas is something that we look forward to. We take pride in. We want to see who's going to sleep the longest after we eat the abundance of food that is there. Everybody else, they traditional Thanksgiving. That's when they going to do it. No. Christmas. That's the time I'm about to be laid out. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's talk about, will there be a holiday album in your future? Because I felt like all of these songs were so on point and they were just so appropriate for the season, but love hearing you sing these holiday songs as well. Is that something that you're interested in doing in the future?
I've thought about it. I have a bit of a champagne problem in that I've been just busy working with acting so much, and I'm so grateful, but I also don't want to negate or neglect my other passions. So maybe a Christmas album would be the way for me to be able to actually put something out, because we do have that bit of time. So it's definitely a possibility.
Absolutely. You just heard the voice of Demetria McKinney, star of Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas. It's airing this evening at 8 p.m. on Lifetime. You can get more information and watch the trailer at WCLK.com. Demetria, always a pleasure having you on the show, and happy holidays.
Same to you.
Well, that'll do it for this week's show. I'd like to thank all of my special guests, NaDej Bailey, Jordan Rice, and Demetria McKinney. I'd also like to thank our engineer, Jami Wellman, and you. Please join us next week for another exciting edition of Upfront. If you like today's show, please hit us up at WCLK.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Upfront, inside the entertainment industry, has been brought to you by the High Museum of Art and Jazz 91.9 WCLK, Atlanta's Jazz Station. The show is recorded from the campus of Clark Atlanta University.